Yo guys, what is up? Max in our first Descendant video, and today we basically got the pre-season 1 patch notes. We've got buffs to Descendants. We've got news about the catalyst system that's going to give us better build diversity. We know about a new difficulty that's coming out that is like a new pinnacle difficulty, and so much more. We do also have a little bit something more serious to talk about. There is a pretty massive L in these patch notes that we're going to be addressing and covering, but there's a lot of good, there is some bad, and I want to break down everything that you guys need to know. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let's get right into it. If you saw my previous video about the season 1 details, there is some repeat news here, but I'm still going to go through everything in case you didn't see that video. To start, we've got Corell's new weapon. Corell has prepared a new tactical weapon for revenge. This tactical weapon, forged from the Ancestors technology discovered by Amon, is the Vulgus Legion's new strategy against the Descendants. When the invasion season begins, the invasion event will occur daily in 2 of the hard infiltration operation dungeons. In the dungeon where the invasion has begun, you can start by selecting either infiltration operation or invasion, and the invasion event can be cleared twice per day for each dungeon. Invasion dungeons will put your skills and wits to the test. To hold back the Descendants, Corell has built a defense system with different mechanisms for each legion. These dungeons are solo challenges that feature different routes, puzzles, and strategies from the normal dungeons, where your objective is to fend off the invasion as quick as possible. Quick note, this sounds cool, looks cool. Big L, the fact that they are time gating or making you be only able to do 2 of these dungeons per day. I get that they're probably trying to slow down our progression, so whatever we can earn from this thing, we can't earn too quickly. I personally just hate time-gated mechanics. It is the #1 thing that pisses me off that video games add. I didn't like it in Destiny, didn't like it in Once Human, don't like it in the first Descendant. I want to be able to just sit down and grind as much as I can, and so personally, not a fan of the only can clear 2 invasion dungeons a day. This seems a little silly. Next up, we've got the new Descendant, Hailey Scott. Once a guerrilla unit supply soldier who gained fame as a legendary sniper, Hailey is now the newest member of the Descendant Corps. Not only can she take out enemies from a distance with her anti-material sniper cannon, she can also rapidly decrease her body temperature to spew chill when emotions run high. While Hailey is an admirer of Viessa, who can manipulate chill at will, and is a cold-blooded sniper on the battlefield, she's also a warm-hearted hero who loves to make snow crystals and bring smiles to children's faces. Very nice, Hailey. So we get some things of her first abilities. Her first ability, Cryo Rounds, instantly fires a cryo round that automatically tracks the enemy, deals damage, and inflicts cryo, which deals additional damage along with Hailey's firearm damage. So as you can see, she's got this little shoulder cannon basically that pops up and shoots at a wave of enemies. Pretty cool looking there. Next up, we've got Storm Snare. Fire a freezing beam that unleashes a chill vortex around you and knocks back enemies. Inflicts cryo on enemies that take damage. This looks freaking sick. I kind of assumed that being able to pull out her big sniper would only be part of her 4th ability, but it looks like here we get it as her 2nd ability, which is pretty freaking awesome. And obviously it does this big explosion effect on the enemies. Looks really cool. Next up, we've got Cold Fury. Hailey's movement speed gradually decreases, but her firearm and critical skill hit rate and firearm penetration all increase significantly. This is pretty cool, and basically the opposite of Viessa's ability. You put up this drone that actually freezes you, but you get firearm skill, crit hit rate, and penetration. This sounds like a really good ability to rotate into a boss DPS thing, where you're gonna boom, pop your 3, then you'll get all your buffs, and then you'll use most likely your 4. 4 is Zenith. Replaces Hailey's weapon with her unique weapon, Anti-Material Sniper Cannon. Penetration of the Anti-Material Sniper Cannon and firearm attack greatly increase and deal additional chill skill damage. Recover MP upon successfully attacking weak points, and decreases the cooldown the more bullets you have when the remaining skill ends. Sounds like you're going to get multiple shots out of this, and you can choose to end it early, or you can kind of aim it at a Colossus's weak point and just go boom, 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 boom. Looks really, really cool. The animations here are awesome. Next up, we learn about the inversion reinforcer for season progression. By the way, I apologize about my throat. I just kind of woke up and it's quite sore. But Descendants experience a change in their archy as they come in contact with Ironhearts multiple times. Their archy begins to draw energy from a destroyed Ironheart, embracing this energy as a source of strength. The Descendants can now gain new abilities through the inversion reinforcers. So I talked about this in a previous video. Now we actually know exactly what it does. So the Hunt progression improves your basic stats. Basic stats, I'm assuming, is going to be like health, mana, defense. It could possibly mean crit chance and crit damage because Descendants have that as a base stat. Fingers crossed that you can impact your crit chance and crit damage. That would be absolutely incredible for Descendants like Freyna. Next up, we've got Attribute. Improves your Descendants' attribute resistances. So your resistances to like fire, toxic, so on. Less interesting there. Recovery improves your Descendants' recovery. This, I would imagine, is the stats that are come at base. Things like your MP recovery and your health regen. And then survival, receive a defense buff that activates under certain conditions. I'd imagine this is kind of like Iron Will, where it's like, oh, if your shields go down, you get more defense. Or if your health is low, you get extra shield regen, something like that. And then for season, you'll receive an effect that's useful for invasion dungeons. And then they have an extra note here that says inversion reinforcement is a progression system that only lasts for this season. You can learn the inversion reinforcement effect using the Ironheart particle, which can be earned by clearing invasion dungeons or being active in hard difficulty fields. You can choose 3 of the effects that have been unlocked. When you unlock all 4 of the effects in a line, you automatically acquire that line's collection effect. Collection effects are passive effects that are always applied during the season. This means that if you unlock all inversion reinforcement effects, you can utilize 3 selected effects and 5 collision effects from each line in battle. So it sounds like you're gonna have to pick from the like inversion things to activate, but you're gonna be able to like get based off of your like basic picks to get special kind of perks for your Descendant, which are these collection effects. Depending on how impactful these like collection effects are, this could be really, really interesting. Obviously, I love the idea of being able to progress your Descendants more and more as you play them. Once you fully max them out, there's still grind for you to do. I love that. And this could allow you to like take characters that are not as great right now and make them even better. So super cool. Just kind of depends on how that plays out. Not a huge fan of it being like in the invasion dungeons and invasion dungeons being time gated, but it looks like you can also grind them out in hard difficulty, so we shall see. Next up, we get Ultimate Freyna. There's not really anything new in the comments here, so just kind of moving on from here. They did not talk about her new Ultimate Transcendent modules, which is kind of what I was hoping to see. Now when we get the new Ultimate Weapons, we got the Excava, a powerful and versatile ultimate weapon. This assault rifle arrives with this update. Also acquirable as a free battle pass reward, Excava charges voltage when attacking enemies and uses the charge voltage to fire energy grenades. Looks pretty cool. And then the Frost Watcher is acquirable through gameplay. Scout rifle that reduces enemies' chill resistance and increases your chill skill damage each time you hit the enemy at long range. It's a perfect weapon for Viessa or Hailey. It sounds really cool. So you like with the scout rifle with Hailey, you like boom, 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 shoot a mag, and then click your like 3 and then click your 4 or whatever, so that the enemy gets debuffed, and then you use your sniper rifle to hit them for even more damage. Sounds really cool. Then we've got the Illuming Threat, Deathstalker. Deathstalker emerges from the darkness and unleashes attack based on poison and fear, stalking the Descendants in the darkness of the void. Deathstalker is more formidable than any other Colossus you've intercepted. You must jump back into the void to protect Ingress from this menace, solve the mystery shrouded in the dark, and intercept Deathstalker. Then we get the note for the highest difficulty infiltration operation in ETA-0. In Season 1, the highest difficulty of the infiltration operations will be added. It's a proving ground to test and polish your optimized builds, form a team, or challenge yourself to more difficult infiltration operations in public matchmaking. Prove the strength of your Descendants and acquire loot that can only be obtained in more difficult infiltration operations. Along with this, a mysterious merchant, ETA-0, visits Albion. Every time he visits, he opens up with a variety of products that can be purchased with exclusive currency. This is the trade merchant. With each visit, he brings different products, since he visits Albion with blueprints for Descendants and ultimate weapons, and occasionally hard-to-find consumables. Don't miss out on visiting ETA-0. So, I think the hard-to-find consumables is going to be stabilizers. And it's confirmed now that the trade merchant that's coming to the game that you can turn in your duplicate products for will give you blueprints for Descendants and ultimate weapons. So this sounds pretty cool. Like For example, Enduring Legacy, really hard blueprint to get. If ETA-O comes to the vendor with blueprints for the Enduring Legacy, that is going to be insane. But it looks like we kind of have some confirmation on what it's bringing. Not only is it going to bring some stabilizers, I'm assuming is the hard to find consumables. Could be more things, but we'll also have parts that you can purchase. So you're going to want to have duplicates so that you can turn in. This is going to function, sounds like, very similar to like Burrow Katir in Warframe, if you're familiar with it. Basically a merchant that you can bring your like prime parts to, exchange for ducats, and then purchase things outright. Now we get to the bad, and this is the invasion update schedule. Now originally, the way that this was being marketed, it looked like everything was coming on August 29th. That has now been revealed to not be the case. They are going to be drip feeding the content of season 1 or time gating it so that on August 29th, in 7 days, we're getting Hailey and the invasion dungeons and the like inversion mechanic to progress your descendants, but we are not getting the new boss. We are not getting Ultimate Freyna. We are not getting the trade merchant. We are not getting the high difficulty operations. They're drip feeding that content for months later. So we have to wait an extra month for the new Colossus boss, and then we have to wait 2 months for Ultimate Freyna. And I understand why they're doing this. They're obviously doing it so that they can like keep player retention at a higher peak or keep players engaged. If they drop everything on day 1, players blast all of the content and then they move on or get bored and then they don't really have anything else for the later months. If they drip feed the content, then the idea is to keep players engaged and have new things to come back to constantly throughout the season. I get the like drip feed kind of content model. I just don't think it works in the games that I've played. Wonderlands tried to do this. It was terrible. I don't like it in Destiny. I personally think it's better to just put out all the content. Let us blast it. Let us enjoy everything. Let us have the most incredible update with so many things to do, so many things to play. And then if players get bored in like a month, I think that's fine. They come back for season 2 with tons of things to play. I think drip feeding content is going to push players away more than it's going to retain them. Personally, I'm curious to what you guys think. I think the most frustrating thing about this particular schedule that they've lined up is that we get Hailey in 7 days, but we don't get her Transcendent modules for 2 months. I highlighted the wrong thing. Hailey modification modules in 2 months. That just doesn't make sense. A big part of building these Descendants and their build diversity is their Transcendent modules. It makes no sense to time gate the Transcendent modules for 2 months. People will be done and moved on from Hailey. You know what I mean? So I really think either, like, I think we could maybe compromise. They're really good at listening to feedback. This is a huge change, so I don't know if they would listen to something on this, but maybe condense these things to 2 months rather than 3 and put some of these October 30th stuff, if they're done, in the August 29th, and then put some of these things in the September 26th. I'd way rather have just 2 big updates with a mid-season and more things to look forward to than having to wait 2 months for Ultimate Freyna. Personally, I think the game needs the larger injection of content now rather than later. And so that's kind of my suggestion. Obviously, these are just my opinions. I'm curious to how you guys feel about it. Do you like this drip feed like model? Do you prefer this, or would you rather see things pushed up? Obviously, we don't know if these are actually ready to deploy, but if they are ready, I really think they should try pushing them up to like September 26th and August 29th. Just me personally. Now that we've gotten the like hard part out of the way, we can talk about some of the cool changes that they're doing, which first off, we've got Void Fragment and Fusion Reactor loop improvements. This is fantastic. It's been improved so that playing Void Fragments once on hard difficulty now grants you enough Void Shards to use the Fusion Reactor once. So you don't have to do like multiple runs just to open one Fusion Reactor. One Void Fragment, one Fusion Reactor open. Consequently, the amount of Void Shards rewarded in special operations has also been increased. Additionally, Void Shards required for the Fusion Reactor have been consolidated into a single type now. Now, the same type of Void Shards will drop from both Void Fragments and the Fusion Reactor within the same battlefield. This change enhances the convenience of farming Void Shards and optimizes the monster placement for representative Void Fragments of each attribute. Finally, the fusion reactor now requires void shards when using the reconstructed device rather than at the start of the mission. This adjustment ensures that void shards are not consumed if you accidentally enter the fusion reactor. So basically, you just do one fusion reactor. It's not going to be a bunch of random different materials where you need 2. You need like 10 or 36 organic and 20 inorganic. It's just going to be 1. You get the 1. You do the fusion reactor. It's just going to be way simpler and way easier to do. Way less of a pain in the butt, which is great. Next up, hard infiltration operation improvements. They've kind of already touched on this, but as previously announced, random options will be replaced with preset selections. The presets offer 3 options: 0% difficulty, 125% difficulty, and 250% difficulty. And Descendants who choose the same preset can play together in public matchmaking. In addition, to prevent the number of types of matchmaking pools from growing indiscriminately, Descendants who select the same infiltration operation will now be matched together regardless of the selected rewards. Instead, the global effects that were applied based on the selection rewards will be removed. Instead, the global effects that were applied based on the selected rewards will be removed. Nice. Lastly, the timed occupation mission will be removed from hard infiltration operations and replaced with the extermination battle, where the time can be reduced based on the Descendant skill. So they're removing the like lock down or stand on this plate for like 20 seconds. You're just going to kill things, and you're going to be able to kill those things fast enough to make it faster than having to stand on plates. Should make dungeons way better to farm and easier to find groups to do them with. Next up, we've got the like build diversity catalyst changes. So now, once you assign a socket type, the socket type granted to that slot is permanently saved, so you can easily change it to the previously granted socket type at any time. For example, if a Descendant changes an Almadine socket to a Malachite socket, you can easily choose between Almadine and Malachite in that socket afterwards. Additionally, the socket type applied to loadout setting 1 can also be used for setting 2 and 3, allowing you to grant multiple socket types only to the slots that require multiple socket types depending on your build. So basically what this sounds like is if you catalyze a slot multiple times, the same slot multiple times, you can swap between it. So that's really cool. You'll probably have like a menu where you can click and change the socket. So if you catalyze something multiple times, or like you have a Descendant socket or a weapon socket where it comes with like a rutile slot or an R slot, you can get rid of it, but you could also change it back if you want to throw Toxic on. If you go for like a full crit build on bossing, you can make those bossing nodes, those crit nodes, turn into like cooldown and range nodes. That sounds pretty great. I'm actually kind of surprised that they're going with the route of like you're going to be able to swap on the fly from different sockets. I thought it was going to be a little bit more harsh, a little bit more punishing, but the fact that they're giving us that option is honestly pretty cool. You're still going to need to use a lot of catalysts, but the fact that you're going to be able to swap is pretty nice. Next up, Descendant balance adjustments. So we've got buffs to Jaber, Blair, and Ajax. Jaber's turret has been improved to apply stats such as skill power modifier and additional attack, and will be able to be enhanced by Descendant modules. Jaber's turrets were just bugged. They just things that they weren't benefiting from, and the passive wasn't working all that well either. Additionally, Jaber's turret sync skill has been adjusted to apply to the turret Jaber has summoned. And if the turret engineering modification module is equipped, the summon turret can be improved to create an area. Basically, Jaber will now work. So that is great. It doesn't sound like he's getting buffed that much, as more is just getting fixed to properly work with the things that he wasn't working with. So that's going to be great. Next up, Blair is actually getting some buffs. Pitmaster skill has been improved to have a more enhanced effect based on the number of flame zones. The duration of Blaze up skill has been increased, and the MP cost has been reduced. When using the Extinguish skill, the flame zone will no longer be retrieved. Instead, the Taste of Aggression effect will stack based on the number of flame zones. This was a big awkward part of Blair's kit, where you'd put out your flame zones, but if you wanted to get the buff, you'd have to take them back in. Now you're just going to be able to click his 2, get the buff, but keep the flame zones out. It's a huge improvement to the his kit. Next up, the damage of the burn taste skill has been increased, and a skill button input feature has been added to allow canceling the skill mid-use. They're making his 3 do more damage, which is awesome, and you're able to cancel it mid-use. So that's really good. That's his flamethrower. I've actually been building around the flamethrower, and it hits pretty hard. I've got it hitting for like 250k a tick, and it ticks once every 0.3 seconds. So this could be really strong. Additionally, the max stacks of the incendiary bomb modification module has been increased. This is great. Blair's kit had this real awkwardness to it where if you wanted to put down your AoE, you would have to basically get close to enemies and then put them down. If you wanted to use the incendiary bomb transcendent module, which would allow you to throw the bombs at a distance, or the one at a distance, you could, but you'd only get 2 stacks and your range was decreased. So like the negatives far outweighed the positives, but now they're going to be able to get more stacks of incendiary bomb, which is great. And the performance of deadly cuisine has been enhanced with the classic chef modification module that allows you to get like extra crit chance. So all good things there. I'm mainly kind of excited for the incendiary bomb modification module because that in theory would be a really nice quality of life Blair transcendent module. It just wasn't worth using with being able to cast less bombs and them having less range. So it sounds like that's going to get improved. But also the fact that you can get the buff from your 2 without removing your flame zones, very good. Should be really nice for Blair. And he's getting a damage increase on his 3, which in my opinion was probably his best mobbing ability. Next up, we've got Ajax buffs. Orbital Barrier and Hypercube skills are now affected by attribute resistance, making them stronger. So they're going to be scaling off of, before they're like scaling off of some like HP defense stuff, now they're going to get more attribute resistance buffs. The body enhancement modification module increases HP defense and shield. When using these skills, void energy will also recover to 100%, allowing the use of enhanced skills more often. That's fantastic. Enhanced skills are great. They can give you more survivability, more damage. Additionally, the Void Charge modification module will now allow the Void Walk skill to be stacked, and the Void Walk and Expulsion skills have been modified to increase damage based on defense. When using the enhanced skill, the cooldown will now reset. The Void Charge modification module was giving you more damage based off of your defense. It was like 3% of your defense. It just like wasn't worth using, or wasn't worth really scaling. Sounds like that's going to be even stronger and hit harder. This is like the nuke Ajax build that we did, where you'd be able to like just kind of jump around and explode at everything. It sounds really cool. Next up, we've got various UX improvements. They say, first, a feature to designate random options has been added to the external components, junk filter, and reactor. This allows you to conveniently designate items that don't have the needed random options as junk. Additionally, dismantling items in combat is now available. W on that. Basically, if you're just looking for a like crit damage Colossus reactor, you can filter out all the other roles and junk them, which is really cool. Next up, shapes displayed to show your preferred item attachments can now be designated using a variety of shapes, enabling you to manage them with different shapes according to their uses. I'm going to be honest, I don't really know what this line means, so moving on. And next, a favorite feature has been added to the research menu, and the acquisition information of the applied item will now be shown on the map. Other updates include additional improvements to the icon information display that was included in 1.07, a feature to display voice playback during hard missions, the addition of visual information to the encrypted vault, and various other improvements. All sounds like good things. Guys, that's going to do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts on this season. Let me know if you think I'm going too hard on the whole time-gated thing, if you think it's totally fine. Obviously, that's just my opinion. I would have loved to see some buffs to experience gains in this like kind of patch notes, and I would have loved to see some changes to like shotguns and beam rifles and pistols. I think the weapon meta needs some love, and I think there's a lot of underutilized weapons that need buffs, just straight up. But guys, that is going to do it for the video. Let me know your thoughts down below, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Take care. Peace.